Hello everybody, this is Billy again with Real-Time Fishing, Real-Time Custom Rods. And I'm going to do a layout for a closed Chevron. And we've got a purple theme going on here. Young lady likes purple, so I've got a lot of purples here. I'm going to be wrapping this in. But I'm going to give you all a little more detail than I have on how I lay these out. I do it a touch different. The end results are all the same as everybody does. But I'm going to give you a little bit different, angle on the way I do it. And what I've done is I've identified I've got a 7-inch wrap that I'm going to be doing, not counting the tiles. And the tiles I've got figured at 1 inch. And I've got my tape on here, my painter's tape already. And what I'm going to do, put my glasses on so I can see, is I'm going to cut this tape and about where I think is straight up. Can't go too deep. Then I'm going to look down and then I'm going to mark that with my pen. I'll tell you why in a minute. And I've got a light right over my bench up there, and it projects a perfectly straight white line down this blank if I look down it. So I take the mark I just made, put it on the white line, then I go down, and it's pretty much dead center top. I cut that one. Then I mark that where I just cut. Here's where mine differ a little bit. Take this tape off, and I pay particular attention not to disrupt the side I marked too much as far as stretching it or tearing it. I've got this on a little too tight. And I'm going to take that right off. And I'm going to mark where I just took it from with this yellow pen so I'll know how to get back to that spot. Okay, so I've got my mark here. And what I do is I take my little, I call it a micrometer. I don't really know what you call it. It's some kind of a scale that does millimeters. And I will mark or measure the circumference, which is when I cut through it and marked it, I go from my mark to the other side. I'm getting 30.55. That's my circumference all the way around it. 30.55, and I'll make a note of that. Okay, so to find the halfway point where I can put the one on the bottom, my mark, I just divide it by 2. So half of 30 is 15. That's about 1527. So I just dial that in on my mark here, on my micrometer. I'm sure that's not what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it. 1527. Perfect. Then on the same piece of tape from my mark, I mark that. That gives me halfway. The reason I do it this way is it's the same method as just about everybody else uses, except they take it off and fold it in half and mark it. My fat fingers folding it in half and trying to mark it, trying to keep the tape straight, I just had a hard time doing it. So I figured this way out on my own. And I come back to the top of the rod blank again. And I go all the way around. Okay. And this is my dead center bottom. So I label that with a B. And I'm not going to bore you with the other side, but I do the other side exactly the same. And then I take these measurements that I get, and I figure I've got a taper offset program, a little mathematical Excel program, nothing fancy. And it tells me if I have a 7-inch area here, if I want 7 crosses or 6 crosses or whatever I want, I can type that in and it will tell me the measurements I need to do to allow for the offset, because this side of the butt side of the rod naturally is a lot fatter than the tip. Okay, I've got my tapered offset program, got everything figured out, and it's giving me the increments in which I need to stretch this to get the exact, to offset that, to offset the taper basically. So what it's given me is where I need to measure to put my marks so where my threads will cross. The first one is 27.1, and again, the way I do it, I take this little, I don't know if you call it a micrometer, but I'm gonna call it that for the sake of arguing. Then I put a little mark. Then I just work my way across my string. I've got a string on here. Next one's 28.1. And it's hard to get this exactly right. So I measure from that 28.1. And I make a decent size mark. And then when I run my threads, I go to the top of my mark, and I just know to do that. 29.1. .2, and I just work my way across it. I can't hold a ruler steady enough to do this, but I can grasp this in my hand and I can do it. If you don't have one of these, I would highly suggest you get one, as they do come in extremely handy in rod building. Okay, so I've marked along my string what the program's told me to do. Then this is going to be a 4-axis. So instead of, if you're doing a 2-axis, you'd come half the distance and you would split these, so when you twirl it around, your strings hit every one. But the way I'm going to do it is a 4-axis. I put exactly the same marks on the underside, same point on the blank as I did the top side. And I'm not going to bore y'all with me marking all these off again, so I'm going to get this done, and I'll be right back. Okay, I got my lines all, my sections all marked off where I'm crossing. Now I've put my popsicle sticks in, getting me some sticky tapes on each end. Okay, I'm going to start with just a light blue to get what I call my base thread down. Then I'm going to start with my purples. Get these things laid out just right, they'll fall into place pretty good. Popsicle stick's the best thing in the world. You're going to have a big wad of tape on each end, and you can get that cut off without a chance of damaging the rod. I'm just going through and crossing on my marks where I just went. Then I'm going to come through and catch the other set of marks. This is the most important step because it is what you build on. It's the layout, it's the first run, everything's built on that. So once I get these all down, that's when I'll go pack them. Make double sure everything's right. This is an X-ray blank, NFC X-ray. They've got the little ribs in them. I don't know if y'all are familiar with them, but they're not a smooth, polished, slick blank. So it actually helps you when you're doing this kind of work. Your thread doesn't tend to slide on you as much. Still slide, but not as bad. Usually what's off is the side ones that you didn't mark, like these on top now, so I'll take that and put it, make sure it's going just right. Looks like it's off just a hair. Like I say, I'll take my time and I'll look at this and look at this and look at this. Twirl it, make sure the crosses, like right now I'm looking at where they cross on the very top, they're all even. See them all about the same without moving my head. Right there, this is off just a hair. Okay, now I'm gonna go with my next thread. And that's going to be some purples. I think I'm going to go with 2 dark purples. Okay, getting the purples down now. And I go down this way on top, and I'll come back this way on what I call the bottom. Like I was saying earlier, this blue thread is my base, what I call my base, and I go on top of that going this way, and I go on the bottom of that coming back the other way. And again, that's pretty standard, I'm sure, the way everybody figures it out for themselves. It'll take me about 3 to 4 hours to do one of these. So when you start charging, you kind of got to figure out what you want to pay yourself per hour, and keep in mind that what you're doing for your customer is unique, and they can't get this anywhere. So if you use the right kind of components, good blanks. Hard for me to say anything will last a lifetime, but it sure lasts them a long, long time. Something they can step down, hand down to the children or grandchildren if they want to. This order here I'm doing is actually the third rod for this same family. The gentleman's getting it for Christmas. And he is a good man, because most men would have waited till December the 20th to tell me they wanted that. He gave me several months notice. I'm not sure I would do that. Most men wouldn't think that far ahead anyway, self included. Good friend of mine knows I'm gotten started doing this, wants to help me out and give the kids something, so I'm gonna do my part. Okay, camera went dead, so I'm gonna try to get this back close as I can to where it was. I'm a real high-tech operation here. I got one camera. And I have learned that sometimes when it gives out and I set it back up, it's not in exactly the same spot. It doesn't look exactly the same. So hopefully this will, I think I'm pretty close now. So I was saying I ran a string of metallic purple. And I'm gonna run some light. I think I'm gonna run 4 strings of this light, 4 strands. Like I said, all I do is patterns based from here to here. I go a couple of inches past it on each side. That's 1, 2, 3. Then I go 4, then a little extra. And I just quadruple this string basically. Picked up a lot of stuff watching other YouTubers. So as I learn it, I'm trying to, the problems I had, maybe I can help somebody else that doesn't, it's just getting going. I have the same exact problems. One of them is when you do 4 threads, you want to cut the ends, cut the loops where you loop it, because as you're pulling that thread in your hand, that thread tends to weave back and forth in your hand to stay straight on the blank. If you loop the ends, it tends to be a mess, because it can't unravel itself toward the end. It's kind of like wadding up a water hose without letting the other end unravel. So anyway, that's something I found out the hard way. Simple little thing, but a lot of folks are in favor of running, 4 strings at a time, and some folks feel like you get a little bit better chevron if you do them 1 at a time, and I think that's probably true. I've proven that to myself also. But this is a closed chevron. Like I said, it's going to take me 3 to 4 hours. Anyway, if it was open, I'd probably closed, of course, means that you won't see any rod blank anywhere. It's only all thread from here to here. If If I was doing open, I probably would have done them, one at a time. But just for the sake of time, I'm doing 4. Well, so if you think about getting into it, take that class. They'll when you get through, you've got a custom fishing rod, even if you decide you don't want to do it. Because it's not for everybody, and quite frankly, it's a lot, in my opinion, a fair amount of investment involved. Of course, I'm just the kind of guy that's, I had to get a power wrapper and all that pretty early. You can do a hand wrapper, there's a lot of folks that do that and do a great job, and it's the way I'm made. I got to have what it takes. If it's available and it's, I don't know, top of the line, I want it. It may take me a month or a week or a day to justify it in my mind, but once I do, I go get it. I don't know if you've watched any of my other videos, but I call myself a free spirit. Well, I don't always know what I'm going to do until I get here doing it. As far as the colors I'm going to use, I know generally this one, the purples and I guess fuchsias and violet. As far as whether I'm going to run 3 threads of this and 4 threads of that, I just kind of build it as I go. Started using a lot of Fuji thread. It's a little bit less expensive. I'm telling you, I really like it. It tends to lay down a lot better. Like I said, you get more on a spool, you get 100 meters instead of 100 yards, and it's, I don't know, 50 or 75 cents less a roll on top of that. And I kind of like it. I'm still using some Pro Wrap, but some of this in this is Fuji's. Sorry about that, folks. My camera cut off, said it was too hot. It's 78 degrees in this garage right now in this shop. The sun is going right straight in on that camera, so I put up a little something over it to keep it from getting any hotter. Got my tape back ready to go. Running a single thread now, some metallic purple. Okay, folks, this is it. Camera cut off, it was too hot. But I finally closed it up. I need some string tightening big time on some of this, and I'll be packing. I'm gonna put some color preserver on it. Keep the strings to stay together overnight, and come back in the morning and work on a little bit more. So y'all stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Look, if you like what you see and you want to subscribe and leave me a comment, please do. I'd love to hear from you. Talk to y'all later. Okay, we're going to tie off these ends now. We're going to try to match the actual rod. These are the guides. I've got that purple, and believe it or not, that's a purple colored tinsel thread all the way down. The other one is hidden by my popsicle, but we're going to tie these off and get some epoxy on this thing, hopefully. So I'm going to tie this off. What I'll do is I'll run about, I don't know, ½ inch to ¼ inch here. Then I'll have to get my knife out and start cutting this part away. If I can get it started right. Got a lot of tension on this right now. The last thing you want is start cutting that thread off and all this come unwound. I think it's pretty safe to say that would ruin your day. So, like I said, you put. Sorry about that, my battery went dead. But what I was saying, you want to keep this as smooth as you can. Sudden drops off, that thread will shift and it'll leave a gap there. Sometimes I have to actually go in and double wrap them just to hide that. So I want this trim to match the guides. So I'm putting this in right now. It's always a little hard when you're wrapping those by hand around the back side if you can't see it. Not too bad there. I'm gonna do these by hand just because it's a little bit easier for me to control. That's one. Let's say go around 6 turns. This thread literally has tinfoil or tinsel wrapped around the string. You can't get so rough with it when you move it, or you tear that off. I like the way that looks right there, so I'm going to do it over. If it ain't right, do it over, because it'll never look right to you. Sorry about my hand covering up, but I haven't got any choice. Looks a lot better. Glad I redid that. There we go. I think I may have gone over my inch, I don't know. At it actually. Okay, I'm back. I've got the other tile done for my decorative wrap here, and now I am just going to put the epoxy on it. And I start out doing that by hand, and I put it on there pretty thick. Then, as crazy as this sounds, I wick it back off. Well, folks, this is the finished product. Well, I say it's the finished product. I may have to put another coat of epoxy on it. It is just about finished. Like I said, the gentleman gave me about 3 months, 2.5 months to build it as part of Christmas. Honored to have done it. Great family. Known for many years. This is going to one of his daughters, who's a very sweet girl. I really, really enjoyed building this rod. Y'all stay tuned. Join me on another one. As we speak, the trout are in the river. And old Billy Boy is going to be out there in the river tomorrow. I hopefully have some trout footage for you. If you like what you see, subscribe to my channel. When you do, hit the all. You've got options over there, 3 options of what you want to see. You hit all, you'll get notified when I get something new out. Thanks again, y'all take care.